Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Eric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where oddly, we haven't done this in a while, we've returned to date night with a Wednesday evening.
Double date night.
Yes, late in the day, Carter informed me he was coming home. I said, so what time? He said, around dinner time, which, you know, college kids, what that means. He says, you'd like us to take you to dinner? Sure. So.
Yes, it was an enjoyable night. Can we just say how enjoyable it was to listen to Hallie's voice last week?
Yes.
I had several people reach out to me that recognize the difference in my voice and your voice on that podcast versus the podcast after we lost Hallie, that there's definitely a difference. I see it. I hear it. I will say for me, this is going on year 3. We'll hit 3 years in November without her. For the first time, I could listen to that podcast and smile more than I cried listening to it. And, you know, it doesn't mean that this hurts less, but I can smile more because she was here. And I just felt like that was a sign to me that I'm going to make it.
Yeah, you said that to me, and I just immediately thought too, yeah, it's growth in where we're at. And again, I am grateful. I think I said this to Dane driving home from a baseball tournament Sunday night, because we were listening to a little bit together. And I just said, I'm grateful that we had this episode. We have one other one with her and Lexi that we can go back and hear her voice for long periods of time, and her sense of humor and her intelligence, which was so good. And so, yeah, it was really good. And then back to what you said about the difference in your voice. Even tonight, you had got a picture sent to you and you commented on it. I can see the sadness in my eyes.
Oh,
and we know when we look at photos, we instantly can tell by your face if it's with Hallie with us or after Hallie had gone on to be with Jesus. It's just easy to tell the difference.
Which even posting that episode, the whole weekend was a God wink on how that even happened. So giving you some backstory, we plan out our podcast and sometimes, you know, it doesn't work out. We run into issues, and we had a podcast planned to record on Friday, and it was with guests that we're excited to talk to. I think you will find their story extremely beautiful. But when we started to record, they were having internet issues, and it ended up not working out. So we had to reschedule. And Eric and I just kind of looked at each other after we decided, okay, we're going to have to reschedule. Like, oh God, what is going to be our podcast this weekend? I'm like, I got nothing. Like, I can't come up with anything. I don't have any topics. What are we going to do? And we were kind of like, all right, well, we got to pull from the archives. We're going to have to just repurpose one that we already have out there. And so
something in me just wanted to hear Hallie's voice. It was like, go back and find one of the ones that had Hallie. And as soon as we started listening to it, I was like, well, that's it. That's the one.
It's why we started. It was the whole reason. And talking about divorce and the challenges and getting different perspectives and insight to help other families. And the wild thing was when you went to go upload it, you're like, oh, of course, it's episode 17. Like, she wanted that episode to be her. I mean, what are the odds? Like, last minute, it doesn't work from technical difficulties, and we pivot, and then you go to upload it, and it's like looking at the next episode. Oh, okay. It's episode 17. Gotcha.
Which some of you are thinking 7, but 17 was Hallie's birthday. And so a lot of things with that.
So then moving on, we go through our normal routine. Now it's time on Saturday night is whenever I schedule it for a 4 a.m. release on Sunday. So I'm scheduling it. I go select the date from the calendar and it's like, oh, it's Sunday the 27th, which it's April 27th. Please keep that date in mind as you're listening, but April 27th. Then, it's also when we lost Hallie, it was a Sunday and it was the 27th in November. So another God wink of, okay, all right, we got you, Hal. So fast forward, this story continues. Fast forward, it's Monday. For Christmas, Eric gifted me a photo shoot with Phoenix, the horse that was Hallie's bucket list. But Monday morning, we kind of called an audible of okay, it's going to be super windy. It's going to be cloudy. The weather's not going to be great. Let's just reschedule it. And the photographer, who's our family photographer, has been with us through the good times and the bad times. She came to the hospital and took pictures of us around Hallie's bed. She was like, I know how much this means to you. I would probably reschedule it. You're right. So instead, I had time at lunch where I would have been preparing for the pictures. I need to go get my real ID. Way behind on that. Got to switch over to real ID. So I'm like, okay, lunchtime, I'm going to run to revenue, license bureau, and I'll do that. So of course I walk in, grab the number, and it's 17. Of course, why wouldn't it be? And you also have to do address verification. So I'm looking at our messy office in here, grab some pieces of paper that had my name and address on it and just put it in a folder. So I go through the whole process of real ID, get that done. And as I'm wrapping up, I have my Snapchat is blowing up and you can tell if someone's messaging you or sending you a video, but it's beep, 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 beep. It's this video coming through from Jessie, which my sister Jessie, who has done such an incredible job of honoring Hallie, keeping her memory alive, all the things.
I would say showing up for you.
For me,
she does a great
just
job.
Amazing. So anyway, I'm walking out of there and I'm like, I want to know what she's sending me. As I'm walking out, I'm trying to watch it on my phone, hit play, but also I'm carrying this folder with papers, my purse, and it's windy. And so I walk out and out of my folder, 3 pieces of paper blow out and they are blowing far down the parking lot. So I'm chasing after them. I get close to it. Another gust of wind comes. They blow again. I am 3 parking lots down at this point.
I wonder if I can find any security footage of that.
Not graceful, I can tell you that. I was I didn't even care at that point who saw me because I don't know what the papers are because they give you a temporary ID and it's a piece of paper. I had some important documents in there. Anyway, finally the wind stops for a second and I catch all 3 pieces of paper and 2 of them were a project that Jessie and I are working on together, which at some point we'll share more about that. But it was important and it was something connecting Jessie and I. Okay. I get in the car and I hit play on the Snapchat video she sent me. And I'm just oh my gosh. So she's the baby of 7. And so last one to move out of the house, had the big bedroom at my parents' house in this farmhouse. And my mom they never cleaned out anything that Jessie left there. Her room is literally when she moved out when she was 18, 19 years old. My mom had dropped some stuff off at her house a week before and Jessie didn't really realize it. And so on Monday, her day's off, she finds this backpack in her garage and starts going through it. Well, in this backpack is pictures of Hallie because she had a photography class and used Hallie when she was little as her subject and had all these pictures and these negatives of film that you would traditionally develop. Anyway, it was so cool that she had all these like older pictures of Hallie. And then she pulls out this paper that she wrote. And just so insane, complete mind blow. Because keep in mind, this is all happening where I drew the piece of paper, the number 17. Liza was also, Jesse's daughter, going to be part of our photo shoot with Phoenix, because the game plan is that she will be riding Phoenix as we get her trained up. So there's just all this like connection. Hallie and Liza had a sweet connection, bond with each other. And she sends me the picture of this paper, and the title is Hope is the Thing with Feathers. What? And it's a poem that Emily Dickinson wrote, and I'm going to read it. So she had to do a paper about the poem. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard. A sore must be the storm that could abash that little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asks a crumb of me. So the breakdown of that poem is really about how hope is like a bird that lives inside of our soul. And it sings this constant uplifting song, even when there's no words. It also is in the strongest hardships, the gale. So when life's difficult, storms, right? When storms come, hope becomes even more essential and noticeable. And it would take a very intense and overwhelming hardship, I don't know, maybe like losing a child, to silence or crush hope. But hope is also very generous. It asks nothing of you and is always there for you. Just insane, right? Like, why in all those moments did that all come together?
I don't know. I mean, it's crazy.
I don't even know.
It's crazy. Now, I have to ask you this question. Was there anything else in the backpack or the poem that was like, whoa, wait, what?
One more thing.
Okay.
One more thing. Do you want to guess what the date was on the paper that she wrote?
Something with a 7.
April 27th.
Jeez. So the same date. What year?
April 27th, 2006.
Wow.
So Hallie was 4.
And Jesse did that in 2006.
Yeah.
And then we would release the podcast on the 27th of April, 19 years later. That's crazy.
Yeah. The other thing she found in there was just so funny. She's like, oh, I found this little tiny candy bar. So hope she didn't eat it because it was super old. But but then we want to guess who it was from. It was from Hallie. Attached to it was this like heart behind the green heart looked like behind this white flower. And she wrote on it. It was her handwriting. To Jesse from Hallie. And Jesse kept that candy bar. Like, it's just so wild. We could not stop. Like, mind blow, mind blow, mind blow.
And a green heart, which has become such a big deal.
Yes.
From when she was 4.
So wild. And then Liza ends up coming home from school and is running a temperature. So the pictures were not going to work out anyway. But it was all orchestrated in a way that's like, you just have to trust God, trust his process. Like, they are near, your loved ones are near, God is near. And this kind of leads into, none of this was the actual topic of the podcast because it just happened. I'm like, I have to share this. The topic of the podcast today is just this exact moment of how all these things transpire. That all of that just like makes me smile knowing that she is near. But flip side makes me so sad and is a reminder, like you're ever going to forget, never, but that she's not physically here. And so I have been saying this so much lately of I am living in a conflicted space. Like I am constantly conflicted. Smile because she was here. Sad because she's not here. And you're just imagining holding two different things in your hand all the time. All the time. And what do you do with that? Like, I know everyone lives conflicted in some aspects.
I mean, I actually had just last Saturday written a blog on feeling conflicted in parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wrote this podcast like 24 hours later on a different kind of being conflicted.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's so many things.
So I'll explain it. And, please share, reach out, comment if you feel this too, or you have examples of living conflicted. So I'm going to go back and forth with, like, in one hand is happiness, right? I feel happy sometimes. In the other hand, I'm holding grief. So it's this constant like push and pull balancing act, it feels like. One hand, I'll smile. I smiled when I listened to Hallie on the podcast, and I had tears when I listened to her. Tears because of the joy and the ease of that whole conversation and how enlightening she was, and how at the same time, so much of what she was saying, although we were talking about divorce and me trying to keep things positive, and she saying, I wanted to just sit in it. Like, I just wanted to be sad and be acknowledged. And how I have learned how to do that, unfortunately, forced to learn how to sit in this, because there is no trying to mask it. There's no, oh, I'll try to just be positive and that'll make it go away. Not at this level. No way. And then it's like I have one hand that's holding my kids still here on earth, and then the other hand is like holding Hallie in heaven. And so there's this major push and pull there. It's like total confliction. In one hand, I know I'm supposed to rest. On the other hand, I have this massive to-do list and a bazillion things that we should be doing.
That's pretty much us every day together. Yes. And then you'll look at me and you'll be like, are we ever going to, like, even this week? Yeah. Are we ever going to like rest? And I'm like, I don't think so. We were walking the other night.
Yeah.
And I was like, I look at your parents and I think they don't rest. So we probably aren't going to rest either.
I mean, my dad does a little bit.
Okay. Kenny might occasionally.
Solitaire. That's really resting.
Yes. Yeah. But Alice doesn't rest. Except, well, she takes 1 minute naps. That's a different story though. She keeps going all the time. Yeah.
So continuing on with this, one hand is on my tired soul. And the other hand is this need for movement, because I know it's medicine. I've talked about this with my grief group of mamas. It's like, you don't feel like moving your body, but yet you know you're supposed to. So it's this constant confliction of like, I'm tired, but I need to move my body. In one hand, everything that I want to control is here. On the other hand, I know I'm really not in control. So it's like confliction. I want to control. I'm not in control. What can I control? One hand is living in the present in that moment. And then you have this other aspect of your life that you crave the past. I crave what we had, who I was, having our whole family together. So it's this like conflicted of like, I know I have to be present here and now because I have experienced a worst case scenario of losing a child, but damn, I want to go back. One hand is holding hate for what happened. And the other hand's holding gratitude that I had Hallie for 20 years. One hand is like holding time that's moving so fast. I cannot believe that we have lived over 2 years without Hallie. Like how the hell did it already be 2 years? But in the same token, that seems fast. The same token, it feels like a freaking lifetime since I have seen her.
It felt like we've trudged through the mud for 29 and a half months. That's what it, like a sand, like a thick quicksand that we've just been walking through for almost 2.5 years now, for sure.
Yeah, one hand is holding peace that I crave, and then the other hand is this constant unrest that I don't think will ever go away. So you're conflicted. One hand's holding all the pain, and the other hand is like starting to experience a little joy in some aspects. And then, one hand is holding my voice to like, I want to talk through things. I know I need to talk through it. And then the other hand is like, I want silence. Like, I don't want to talk about it. And that's, it's the darkness and the light. That's another confliction. One hand's holding the devil because I know he can creep in. We just did a podcast on that. And the other hand is holding God in my faith. One hand is holding deep breaths because I know I have to reset. And then the other one is like, it's hard to breathe sometimes. It's like short little breaths because it's hard to take a deep breath. And one hand's holding anxiety because you worry about the future. And the other hand is like holding trust in God to just be still. And then there's this hand holding this comfort zone that we all like to stay in. And then there's other hand holding opportunity and a lot of discomfort. One hand's holding growth mindset. Both you and I are wired that way. And the other hand is holding fixed mindset to do I just stay here and not evolve? It's all, I could go on, and I'm sure you could probably make your own list of conflictions. You shook your head there for a minute.
Yeah, I can't actually fathom living in a world where you could ever be fixed mindset. So that's one I actually don't really worry about too much. That confliction for you, I don't think would stick around, where some of these might be difficult to get in and you could get stuck in some of the confliction. I don't see you as ever being stuck in fixed mindset. Even in the depths of hell, you were moving forward. So
I think that there are times where, and I think it goes back to being so like a tired soul, that sometimes it feels safer to just stay in what you know because you're tired and maybe don't have the energy to challenge yourself to grow and explore other opportunities and challenge yourself. But yes, this one, I don't feel like I sit in that very long, but it is a confliction because of the energy in the space that's very limited when you're going through heavy grief. And so it's like you have to balance where you focus your time. Sometimes it may be stuck in what you know versus challenge yourself because you don't have the energy or the capacity or the space to challenge yourself.
Yeah, I get that. And I didn't, I didn't make a list of these things for the podcast. I had written a blog last week that'll go at some point on milesforhim.com about my confliction as a parent. I know that probably Chase, Summer, and Dane are getting the best version of me as a parent. And I feel there's times where I think that's great. But then there's times where I feel a lot of guilt towards not knowing how to parent or how harshly I parented, especially Carter and the older kids. And so it's just about how I feel, conflicted in this phase of life where I can see myself handling a lot of situations better. Mm-hmm. And then you get some of the guilty feelings, which is a conflict of how I used to handle situations. And so it's a little bit different, but yet the same topic because we're all conflicted about something.
Mm-hmm. Well, and our listeners know me by now. I'm not going to just bring up a topic without giving ideas or ways to live conflicted. And I think the first and foremost is you have to learn to self-regulate. So it's like trying to find that foundation that you can have some confliction. You can have a space where you're holding both. But how do you move through that? And it goes back to you have to at least have a foundation of peace. Because when you don't have that, then your body lives in this fight or flight mode, which believe me, I have spent a lot of time there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I made you coffee, and now you're having a hard time over there.
You weren't supposed to see that. I tried to
Yeah,
hide that yawn.
I see you yawning, and it's on video, so other people do too.
Well, we have to go back then and restate that.
No, we're leaving that in there. So
It's late. We're recording this late, and you got up
well.
at 4:45 this morning, so I did too.
I did. It's almost 9:00. It's 9 p.m. And yeah, my alarm went off at before 5 this morning. Been to St. Louis and back and dinner and all kinds of stuff. But fight or flight mode, adrenaline gets released into your bloodstream and that raises your heart rate and blood pressure. And obviously, if you live in this sort of state for a long time, it does terrible things to your body. Burnout, anxiety, depression, physical, psychological. I mean, we're all going to feel the emotions. Like, so the emotions are not going to go away. And I think that's something I had to learn over time. Like I thought, oh, I don't want to feel all those things. I'd just rather like be positive and sort of paint this picture versus like feeling it and then figuring out how you regulate it and balance yourself back out. And it's that surrender, and you let go of control, and you have to figure out how to ground yourself, like acknowledge where you are, acknowledge those feelings, and then be able to balance that back out, if that makes sense.
It does. For me, I have to, my self-regulation is I have to. I have to have some form of a walk or workout every day now to feel like I'm okay. And then I pray every day. And those two things those are my self-regulation points that help me to stay semi-grounded so that I can handle what's going on and keep moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's definitely key, because I think it's natural to feel overwhelmed or afraid or numb. And, your body and mind kind of respond normally that way to an abnormal situation. But I think the thing that everyone has to keep in mind too, when you're going through hard times, is there's not really a right way to feel it. So you can't play the comparison game. You can't say, oh, I think they have it figured out, I don't, like all of that. You just have to simply acknowledge what you're feeling and be able to navigate through that. Meditation is a great one. Prayer, mindfulness, those are all like great things to do. Journaling is another one. We've talked about this before, of like writing out your thoughts also is a way to be able to move through it. We've talked a ton about physical movement, like to your point of walking.
Yeah, I would just say with the journaling, like you're way better at that than I am, right? You love to write out your thoughts and all that. I just in the last 6 weeks, just like the 5 blogs that I've written are very soothing to me when I do them, right? Knowing that they're probably not going to reach that many people. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to read it, but for me, it's very helpful. And I never would have said that before. It didn't seem like something that interested me to get my thoughts out on paper or on a computer. Yeah.
It's scary and it's intimidating.
And
to
my thoughts can be scary.
Yes.
My brain can be, yes. So,
but everyone feels that way. Like it's intimidating to have a blank piece of paper and a pen and to really write out your thoughts.
Yeah. And I see you have on here, meditate for 10 days, twice a day. I've not tried that, or quiet time for 15 minutes and see what happens. I have tried some quiet time walking recently, where like the first mile or 2 miles, I'm just going to be silent and let God in. And that's different to do. And I've also done the meditation. My buddy Dave Cover, a pastor who's been on the show, he's got the Christian meditation for a bigger life that you can find. That's awesome as well. Puts me to sleep. But, those are options that you can do for some self-regulation. And it really, if you can try to walk, not listen to music, not talk to yourself, that's the big one, right? And just really try to listen for God to talk to you. Ooh, that can be really helpful.
I love it. I love the quiet. But it's not as probably normal for you. Like you're usually listening to music when you're walking or listening to I mean, I'm usually in a car a lot by myself, and I do have to stop myself because sometimes I'm like, oh, I should be doing this. Like I should be listening to this book, or I should be listening to this podcast. I should be consuming information, but I also crave the quiet too. So if I'm conflicted, I will choose the quiet and the silence to just let my thoughts sort of be over listening to something or reading a book that Eric suggests.
If she's conflicted about hearing my voice or just being in the silence, those are
I will choose the silence all day long. We're honest and transparent on this podcast.
I'm going to go back 4 weeks ago and read a letter to my husband for my own self-regulation.
Those
for my
pages are
own
probably worn out.
self-regulation. Okay.
So, to continue on with this topic, the real question then is if self-regulation is the key to living conflicted, then how do you really do all those things when your hands are full and you're trying to balance both living in confliction? You're full of the push and the pulls and the twists and turns, the pain and the beauty. And there's only one option. There's one option. Which is?
What is it?
Eyes up. It's the only thing that you can do when your hands are full. Because if you don't have hope, which goes all the way back to the beginning of our podcast, hope is in the feathers. If you don't have hope and faith, then you don't have that resilience and that grit to self-regulate, to ground yourself, to move through the process. And I would also say that if you struggle within, which that's what all of this is about, it's this internal struggle, then you have to go externally. You have to actually ask people for help. You have to praise people. You have to be able to have your eyes up and look to God for that faith and strength so that you can self-regulate, so that you can live in a conflicted world.
Did you write the words ask people for help? You wrote that? What?
That wasn't in there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Slipped it in.
That's impressive. Dang.
Every once in a while I do.
All right.
Every once in a while.
Well, I think this is good and it's helpful. And I know that all of us are struggling with different kinds of confliction. So I wish that people would reach out this week and let us know what that is so we can pray for you. Or maybe we're one of the 50 people that you asked for help even. That could be. I'm serious. I mean, if you're really needing something and that's where you're listening, we tried to build a community here and that's what we're saying.
Correct. Like you have to ask for help. And that doesn't mean that the first person you ask is going to help you. Like you might have to ask 50 people to find someone to help because we're all wired for community. I ask our little grief group of mamas, our broken and beautiful mamas today, I said, what's one thing that's painful and what's one thing that's beautiful in your life? And it's a very simple question because it's also confliction. There's pain and there's beauty in the life we live. And some things were very simple and some things were very hard. And so as we start to wrap up the podcast and talk about something we're grateful for, I'll share my pain part and my beauty part. And the pain part is I was driving in the rain this morning and traffic was terrible. And it would have been amazing to just like stay in bed. But, every day is like this get up and go fight forward. And so there's this pain part in that of doing things that's like, oh my gosh, took me way longer than it should have. Traffic was terrible. And the beauty part is tomorrow night, I was asked to go be a local author at a parents' night at this school. And I've not been to this school before. And I'm just excited I haven't been around little kids with the 2 children's books that I've written in a while. It's been a minute. And so actually this month I have 2 different school engagements. And so that's a beautiful part in the pain of it. I mean, there's an obvious pain of not having Hallie, but like in that moment, just in that moment, what's something that's painful for you today and what's something that's beautiful for you today?
Well, I've not thought about the painful, so I'm not prepared for that currently. But I would say 2 things that I'm grateful for is last Friday night, you had a little one-on-one date with Dane, and I know he really enjoyed that. You guys don't get to do that very often. Mm-hmm. And I got to have one with Summer, took her to a Megan Maroney concert, and we had a blast, and I would go see her anytime. But that one-on-one time with the kids is what I'm grateful for, because kids need that. And it's a great time for them to open up and visit with you and talk to you. And I just really, really loved the time that Summer and I spent together last week. And again, I know Dane enjoyed the time with you. So that is what I'm grateful for this week. Yeah. So, and with all that being said, just go back to a couple minutes ago where we talk about, if you need help, if you need someone, if you need community, you might have to ask 50 people. I mean, reach out, ask me, and I'm going to send you to Angie. And that'll be 2. So, all right.
Yeah.
There we go. I tried to make her laugh. I hope that you guys have an absolutely wonderful week. Also, just it is a blessing to be able to do this with you, Ange, and to be a part of this growing community of people that we are meeting on a regular basis and able to help. We do really enjoy meeting all of you. So we hope you have a wonderful week. God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended Blessed and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.